My name is Danny Sexton. I'm 46 years old. I'm an employee at California State University, Fresno in the Ag Operations shop. I'm a mechanics helper. I'm also a Naval Reservist. I'm a heavy equipment operator in the Seabees in the Naval Construction Force. I've been in the Naval Reserves / active duty Navy for 20 years. My military service started a week after I graduated high school. I joined the Navy, went active duty. After boot camp, I was stationed overseas in Europe. And then I did 3 years with them, saw all of Europe while I was over there. And then I transferred to an F-18 squadron out of Florida. Was over in the Red Sea when Desert Storm 1 first happened. We had come to an end of a 6-month deployment, got extended. After that, I got out. I was out for 10 years. And one day I called my roommate, who then became my brother-in-law, asked him what he was doing. And he said he couldn't talk to me because he was at drill. I said, at drill? He said, yeah, he joined the Naval Reserves and that he was a Seabee and that I should check it out. So I was able to come back in July of 2001. Well, September the 11th happened, so like all of us in uniform, we were stood ready to go. So in 03, I got my call to go. That was my first deployment. I was gone in 48 hours. Went to Iraq. Did my mission there. I was there about 9 months, came home, got back into civilian life, and then 2009, 2010 I volunteered for another deployment, and that took me to Kuwait, and I was there for 9 months as well. And then my last deployment that I just finished was this 2014. I took and went to Afghanistan and was there for 9 months, and I'm home now. When I found out I was getting mobilized, Fresno State was real supportive. What I had to do was show them a copy of my orders, and they were okay with it. While I was gone, they can either choose to hire a temporary to fill my spot or not to, and then they hold my job while I'm deployed until I get back. My last deployment I just finished, I was with the Logistics Task Force that was attached to Barcom Air Base. Our customer was JSOC and any other OGA that was over there, meaning we transported people and cargo around the base or to the flight line, and that could range between half a dozen people to 20 to cargo containers ranging from 20-foot Conex boxes to pallets. My two jobs complement each other because here I work on equipment, and if something needs to be operated, I have the skills to operate the equipment here. When I'm deployed, I'm operating equipment, and if it breaks, I can either fix it myself or lend a hand in fixing it with the construction mechanics that are there to work on the equipment. We finally left first part of April to go to Afghanistan, and we were over there, and we left to come home about the mid-November, and then got to Germany and did warrior transition there, and then came back to Norfolk, Virginia for demobilization, and then I got home to be with my family the day before Thanksgiving. I stayed in touch with my wife and family back home on a regular basis. We would Skype every Saturday or Sunday. It was nice because I was able to see my granddaughter grow up. You know, when I left, she was 3 months old, and she got to see me even though it was on a phone, and I got to talk to her. And then I would call occasionally back here to Fresno State and see how things are going. And I'd check the Fresno State webpage, see how the Bulldogs are doing, and watch the highlights on ESPN. Then also I would call and talk to friends and other family members. So communication this deployment was a lot better than it was my first deployment in 03. Where I was at for this deployment, it was at Bagram Air Base. It's basically a bowl. We were surrounded by mountains that had snow until mid-July. We were at 5,000 feet. Afghanistan is a landlocked country. It's got deserts, it's got mountains. The people there, they want, the majority of them want us there, but you have this small group that is totally against us, helping them out and making life a lot more comfortable and rich for them like we have it here. They farm over there, and they try to make a good life for themselves, just like we try to do it here. Back in the 1960s and 70s, Afghanistan used to be a popular tourist spot, and now it's a war-torn country, and they would like to get back to the prosperity that they had before. In my free time, I took and earned a personal warfare qualification called the Expeditionary Warfare Pin. Also, I read some of my favorite authors, Vince Flynn and Brad Thor, and then I also took and helped out fellow shipmates by being a CB. They would come to me with wanting projects made, furniture, stuff to make the quality of life a lot better, so I was busy doing that. Some of the memorable things that from my deployment is first off is me earning my EXW pin. That was a big thing for me. Also, the first time we took indirect fire, which is artillery or rocket rounds that are just shot indiscriminately into the camp. Because in '03 I'd been shot at, but this was just something coming from someone that I couldn't see. And then being able to work with fellow sailors, even though they weren't CBs, and get the mission done, and getting the accolades and the praise for getting the mission done. My homecoming was kind of a surprise, because originally I was going to be home for Thanksgiving, but I was able to get out of some training that was scheduled. So I texted my wife and I said, hey, I'm going to need a ride from the airport, and she thought I was messing with her, and she texted back asking what do I mean, and I told her, well, I'm going to be coming home and I'll be at the airport at 4 o'clock on Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving. And she wasn't prepared for me to be home, so she had to scramble around getting some last minute stuff done, and she had planned to be at leave the house by 3. Well, 2 of my dogs got out, so they had to wait and get them back in. And then she got stuck by a train, and then the meters on the ramps were on, so she didn't get to the airport till 4 o'clock, and she thought, well, I'm going to arrive and nobody's going to be there, but that didn't happen. And I told my wife that if you bring my granddaughter Victoria to the airport and you put her down and she runs to me, I'm going to be like that guy that drops his luggage and goes wailing and crying and picking her up, but that didn't happen. She wouldn't let go of Grandma. So I walked up to my wife and my granddaughter, gave them a big bear hug, gave my wife a kiss, and I looked at my granddaughter and she's like, "Whoa, you're for real, you're not on a phone." So we leave the airport. My wife tells me to hang back because she wants to see the reaction of my dogs when I get home. So they go in and my wife's giving them a treat while I sneak into the house, and I'm standing there, and my son's dog was the first one to notice me, and she come over and she sniffed me and started wagging her tail. Well, then the other 2 dogs come and they just start crying and jumping on me, and so I just have to sit down on the floor and let them get all their welcome homes out of their system before they would leave me alone and let me unpack. And so it was a good homecoming. What I did on this deployment, like I've done on previous deployments, is I've flown flags for family and friends and given them to them as a thank you for their support to my family and me during my military service. And I flew a flag for the School of Ag. And what's significant about this one is I flew it one on 9/11, and then also it was flown on a C-130 gunship that operated out of our base. The dean called me and my wife up, and that was nice of her to include my wife as well, because she's a big part of my support system seeing everybody stand up and applaud me for my military service, the people I work with showing support for me being in the military and doing what I do, that was really nice. My wife's my rock because after my first deployment I came back and I asked her, what do you want to do? Do you want me to continue being in the military? Because I knew it was harder on her than it was on me. And her words were, no, you're going to finish. We're going to finish it because the first one was the hardest. We made it through that one. Everyone after this will be easy. And she has had to take on a lot of the load with me being gone, and she's done a remarkable job. And I couldn't do this without her support. Well, now that I'm back from mobilization, I'll go back to being a drilling reservist, and I'll drill 1 week in a month and 2 weeks out of the year. My plan is to hopefully do another mobilization before I retire, and but where I would go, it depends on what's going on and where they need me, and we'll have to see what happens.